Hey everyone, I'm Energy, and today I'm going to be doing a quick Q&A. Hopefully it's quick. And I asked you guys on Instagram what kind of things would you guys want to know about when it comes to like videos about photography and stuff like that. And you guys asked some awesome questions. Some of you guys asked like 6, 8, 10 questions, and I appreciate it. Some things I won't be covering because I either planning to make future videos about them or you gave me great ideas to make future videos about them, so thank you for that. Things like how to work with different models, film, editing, all those things I'll be making separate videos about, but I did choose top 10 questions that I thought would be pretty interesting to at least briefly answer. I think some of those questions I will make a separate video either way because I believe that they should be highlighted, maybe a little bit more than just like a simple answer. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm gonna sip my coffee. So the first question I wanted to answer was, how do you keep up with your creativity every day? It's an interesting question because every day is different. So I think the first thing I want to say about that is that it's hard to keep up with your creativity every day, that you're gonna slack off, that there's gonna be days that you're not even gonna be thinking about it because you're gonna be what I like to call adulting. Like there's some other things that occupy your mind or your time that wouldn't allow you to. But things that I like to do to keep myself creative and keep my juices flowing, before this whole COVID-19 thing, I used to travel a lot. I used to go places at least once a month or every 2 months, even if it's for a day or 2 days, just being in a different environment, a different city, a country, and just around different kind of people is really what inspired me, because I am a people photographer, so I do really need the interaction part of things to kind of feel out people and feel out their vibe and energy and stuff like that, to kind of get ideas flowing and stuff like that. Other things that I do is I have, as you guys probably already know, I have a lot of photo books. I love photo books, and I want to have a million more of them, but I do occasionally, not every day, but I would pull out one of my favorite books or a book I haven't touched in a while and kind of flip through it and maybe remember why I love this photographer or this body of work or whatever it might be, and that might inspire me to do something else. Also, I try to Pinterest almost daily. I love Pinterest. I think it's one of the coolest things we have to use in our advantage. So creating different boards, little boards, or adding to like my general mood boards or stuff like that is also stuff that keep me going creatively and stuff like that. I really do draw a lot of inspiration from the outdoor stuff, so I try to do that. Also, when it comes to keeping up on my creativity, in a way, like I try to photograph things every day, not necessarily with a camera, but even with my phone. I used to have something I called Black and White Thursdays. I'll probably continue that soon on my Instagram stories. But basically, it was me going all day throughout my day on Thursdays and like photographing little things and really seeing things in a different light. So making these little self-challenges, also something that kept me up creatively, always thinking and brainstorming with the people around me about things that are going on or things that I want to photograph or projects and stuff like that. So really just communicating and trying to be as hands-on as possible when it comes to just keep the flow flowing. But in reality is that every day is hard, so it's really just trying your best to do even the bare minimum creatively every day, because life gets in the way sometimes. Yeah. All right, second question, which I think is an awesome way to continue the first question, is do you see the world through the lens? And I think I get this not often, but I think some people asked me this before, and yes and no. I'm a person that very enjoys living in the moment and really experiencing things as a human being and not as a camera. And that will lead up to a different question later on, but I do see, when I look at the world, like not necessarily, I kind of, my mind is always location scouting. I feel like I'm always like, damn, that would be a cool spot for this shot or this. So like I can see future projects or stuff like that through my eyes, aka through the lens, or how we would photograph. Or I might be with my friends and I'm like, damn, like you look so dope right now, whatever it might be, and like I would love to take a portrait of you. But I don't think I look at everything and I see an image, because I don't think everything needs to be an image or needs to be captured as a still. I feel like a lot of things could be just lived. So it's a yes and no. I feel like it depends on my mood. It depends on my environment. If I'm traveling, then absolutely I look at every corner and I see a photograph and I want to photograph it. But living my everyday life, whatever space I'm in, is more of not really looking at things through the lens as much. All right, third question. What's your process for creating a creative project? Now, this is something I'll probably make a bit of more detailed video about, but I think doing what I do is brainstorming. I think I first it depends on the project. Sometimes I'll mood board something and I'm like, wow, this is amazing, now let me find the people and the locations for it. Sometimes I find a location and then I'm like, okay, let me find the people and the concept for it. And sometimes I have a person and I'm like, how do I photograph you? Let me find a concept and let me find a location for it. Or it can always be studio as well. So I think it really varies. It's really hard for me to be like, yeah, I have this 3-step creative process like hack, and I don't. It kind of just how it comes and how it goes. A lot of people come to me with creative projects, and if I feel like this is something cool that I could execute, or is something that is awesome for the portfolio or the body of work or whatever it might be, then that's also part of it. So I don't really have a 3-step thing, but there is steps that I do take to complete a creative project, and I think I'll make a bit of a more detailed video about that later. All right, fourth question. So I didn't know if it was a 2-part question, but I really liked it. It was basically the quote, anything for the shot, and pushing through when an element isn't perfect. And I love that because anything for the shot is an interesting concept for me, because in a way I understand it, in a way I don't, right? I understand anything for the shot when I'm on set and I'm hanging off a ladder trying to take this one image that in my mind I think is going to be the best like composed image that I'm going to take out of the shoot. So in that perspective I do, but anything for the shot, it's so important. It's so funny because I think people take it to different kinds of extremes. Like, for example, when we talk about taking images of celebrities and stuff like that, and they'll do anything to get like that one photograph and stuff like that. Like, I think I shift my views depends on what kind of photography it is. Like, I think people doing like National Geographic photography, like anything for the shot, like they've been out there for 4 months trying to get that shot. You're gonna do anything to get that image. Or people that do nature photography that travel like 6 months to get somewhere to take this one image of this one perfect moment of whatever it might be, and that's like anything for the shot. But also I think some things are not worth risking for the shot. Some things you can just live it. Like, I have different views about different kinds of photography. I do nature photography now, but also my specific view on things is sometimes I just want to take it in, and I want to exist in that moment. I want to feel it and I want to see it. I don't necessarily want to spend now an hour and a half trying to photograph it. But that's just my personal preference of what kind of things I like to photograph. And pushing through when one element isn't perfect is actually one of my favorite things to do. I like when an element isn't perfect. If you look at my photography, like, I don't edit and do baby skin. Like, I like a baby smooth skin and stuff like that. I like imperfections in images. I rarely edit things out. when it comes to certain things. I'm a person that like really likes to shoot on locations and scout locations, and even if there's like one dirty corner, yeah, I might clean it up a little bit, but I might not, because it kind of adds character to the image. It's in a weird way, I like imperfections if it comes to people, whatever that means, imperfections. And if it comes to spaces, a lot of people can't see past it. A lot of photographers need to have everything like in exactly the way they envision, but I like the element of surprise to my images. I like when I take 1,000 images and then I look, I'm like, damn, I didn't notice that was there the whole time. But then I have to learn to love it, because I am not going to sit there and figure out a way to take that out or edit that out, because that was just what was captured. That was the element in the moment. So I'm appreciative of the imperfections. I think in a way that's what make my images the way they are, give them a bit more character and a bit more roughness. And I think somebody commented on my YouTube video saying something like how they like my images because they look like they're achievable, which I think was really cool, because I feel like I want to make it seem like you can do it too. Like it's very simple process. You just have to have the eye for things. And I think a lot of photographers or YouTube photographers, they make things overcomplicated, and they use these big words, and they give you these grandiose sets and images, and it seems like I will never have the resources to do that. I will never have the opportunity to do this or to do that. But you can. Have you seen in my last video, I just walked around some streets and had an awesome guy that Bess is awesome, and we just took images together, right? It was almost spontaneous, right? And the fact that it made it seem achievable and not that perfect, I like that. And I think that's like kind of what my work is, and I like that people can look at it and relate to it more. So yeah. Número 5. Okay. Is it important to give directions as a photographer? Yes. Yes and no. So it depends, right? I don't say, not necessarily no, not a hard no, like a soft no, you know? Yes, because you see things that the subject in front of you can't see. The way an image looks through the viewfinder or the view window, is not necessarily the way that the subject thinks they look. So I think in that sense, giving directions is very, very important, because, you know, it might be like, for example, when you shoot with the Mamiya RZ67, right? You have a 6x7. You have a 6x7 frame that you have to fit something in it, right? And sometimes you want to get a tight shot, but the model might maybe use their body too open, which kind of like hinders the frame or comes out of the frame in a way that you don't want. So you have to give them direction to maybe turn their head a certain way, maybe put their chin up a little bit, maybe contract their body more, or whatever it might be. So I think giving directions is very important. But then there's instances that you work with professional models and they already know their angles and they know what looks good, and you kind of just show them a mood board and they like channel that mood board through their bodies, which I think is amazing, and it makes my job so easy, and I love it. I love when I have to give minimal direction, but I also don't mind giving directions as a photographer. It's part of your job. You see things that they don't see, you know. But I'm gonna make a whole video on how to work with different kind of people when it comes to models, because I shoot a lot of people that are not models. They're just my friends, and I think they're fucking dope and fire, and I want to photograph them, right? And then when it comes to them being in front of the lens, it's a bit of a different dynamic. So then I have to give them directions and motivate them in a different way. But when it comes to people that are professionals, it's a bit easier because they kind of already know. They already stood in front of that mirror for hours and they already did their self-work to understand what works and what doesn't work. And some of them can look at a piece of paper over an image and they can recreate that or make it look even better in seconds. So giving direction is important when it comes to you achieving the image that you want to achieve. I when I first started doing photography, I was shy to give, yes, I was shy. I was shy to give direction because I felt like it wasn't my place. And then I would come home after a photo shoot and I realized I didn't get one image I wanted. And in my head, I would go, damn, I wish I told her to move her hip this way more. Or damn, I wish I told him to put his hand up a different way. And I was fixing myself while looking at the images, which came to a waste of time and disappointment. But it was a learning process, right? And then I gained the confidence to start getting directions so I can get the images I want. And 90% of the times, those are the images that the models or the subject or the client likes as well. So yeah, I think it's pretty important to give directions as a photographer. Again, depending on the situation. But oh, I love this question. The importance of what a good team is and what it means to me. This is going to be a whole video for sure. But just to touch on it, I think teams are important, specifically when it comes to, I predominantly do fashion photography. When it comes to fashion photography, usually when it comes to doing editorials or whatever it might be, it comes with a team. It comes with makeup artists. It comes with stylists, directors, creative directors, set designers, assistants, whatever. So when it comes to that, I think a team is very important. I remember when I used to do editorial shoots or whatever it might be solo, I would not notice little things because I'm already focused so much on doing one thing that maybe if a tag was showing, I wouldn't see it because I was just focused on the environment and this and pose and blah blah blah. And you don't notice these little details. And when you have a team, they're on it. They got it. If you have a stylist on set, they fix the things in the way that they think they should flow, and 90% of the time, obviously, they know because that's what they do. When I used to first started doing things, I was styling things myself. I was doing a lot of things myself. I can't do makeup at all. So makeup would be on the model to do. Like, they would have to do it, and sometimes that wouldn't be something I like. And the fact when you have a team and you have a concept, everybody have an understanding and everybody just working together, and the makeup artist automatically gets the vibe. So usually the makeup artist and the stylist are in close contact because they need to make everything look like good, right? And then the photographer and the creative director usually are obviously teamed up, and also the set designer. Everybody's just become a big team that's trying to complete this dream project, right? And I think it's very important, even more important, I think, a dynamic that you create with the team. And that's what I want to make a video about, is how to become comfortable with the dynamic and being comfortable with giving directions even though there's 10 people in a room. Like how can you still have the confidence to do so, right? I think having teams is very important. If I could have a team with me everywhere I go, I would. Just like the idea of it. I don't want to sit here and be like I'm a one-man show. Like I do everything on my own. I wouldn't be proud of that. I think having a team enhances everything, enhances your work, your project, your exposure to a certain kind of people and a certain kind of projects and stuff like that. So I think having a team is very important. And sometimes if you have a good team, they become your close friends, and then you just become this powerhouse that's just doing these cool things. So I'm definitely going to make a whole separate video really soon on the importance of team, and especially being on set and stuff like that. So okay, what are we on? 7. So this question is kind of two-sided. Number 7 is how to be less self-conscious or awkward about taking pictures of friends. For me personally, I'm not a person who always walks around with a camera. I'm not constantly capturing what I'm living. I'm a person that very much appreciates, as I probably mentioned before in the video, I very much appreciate the human-to-human connection. And I appreciate experiencing things as me and not necessarily capturing them. So I don't necessarily, every time me and my friends hang out, I don't walk around with my Leica and taking pictures of them and stuff like that. That's not really what I do. I'm more of a project concept, structured photographer base. I give me a time, a location, a team, a this, a that, and I'm there to photograph it. I did start as the photographer that walked around and shot everything. I think it's good practice for you to understand what you like, to understand what kind of things you like to photograph, how you like to photograph them. It's super important, and there's no better way than to do it with your friends. In my opinion, is if you can have friends that you can sit in front of and have deep conversations or strong opinionated conversations that feel comfortable with it, or if it's friends that you can share like very deep like personal things about yourself or secrets and stuff like that. If you have that kind of relationship with your friends, you should have the comfortability to also photograph them. And most of the times your friends are going to be the people that are down for whatever. Literally 99.9% of the people I photograph are my friends. I just have to call them. It's like, look, I have this project, I have this idea in my mind. Can you come and execute this? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Most of my friends are the models or the people I work with or whatever it might be. And when you have those close relations, I think it's easier, right? You just have to set it up, right? And you also have to ask for consent. If you guys are just hanging out and stuff like that, I would tell them, be like, hey, like, I brought my camera. Do you guys mind if I'll like be capturing like us, like, I don't know, living or existing, right? Like, just to let them know, because sometimes it can catch people off guard when you do photograph them. But again, I think if you're comfortable with a person, you should have no issues to photograph, especially if you guys spoke about it, right? It's like, oh, like I want to like start like photographing things that we're doing and stuff like that. So you know, you create that relationship, you ask for that consent, and you start photographing the things that you live around. I think it's awesome. I love seeing candid photographs of people just living. I think it's awesome. In a way, it's like, you know, it validates their experiences, and I think it's really cool. I just prefer to not to, but it's just, again, personal preference. Okay, question number 8. Now, this question also I'll probably make a separate video on. And basically, the question is a beginner photographer should I start with a digital or like a manual camera, like a film camera? And I'm going to be biased to this answer because I was kind of forced to start with a manual camera. So I do think that you should start, just because lighting is the key to creating photograph. Without light, there is no image, right? Understanding lighting is the most difficult thing about photography. And there's no better way to learn lighting by trial and failure, especially when you're doing things manually. When you're doing things digitally in automatic mode, the camera is making all the decisions for you, or the phone is making all of the decisions for you. You don't know what those decisions are. And I think it is really cool that we have the technology today to do that. But I think to truly understand, especially if you want to do film photography, to understand lighting, you need to start with film or manual, or even if you have a digital camera, just put it on manual mode and don't ever move it from it. Learn how to balance ISO and shutter speed and f-stop, and how do they work together and what each one does. And I'm not going to make a video about settings because there's more than enough videos out there in YouTube about that, but understanding basic lighting rules like the Sunny 16 or whatever it might be, once you understand those concepts of lighting, your life is going to be so much easier. I rarely now even use light meters. I don't have a light meter. I use a light meter on the phone. I want one because I think I could be more accurate, but it's part of the learning process. And once you learn, once you jump that hurdle, it becomes automatic. It becomes like muscle memory. So you already know how to utilize light in the correct way. So I personally think that you starting off manual is very important. Once you understand manual, then okay, sure, go to auto. But I promise you that from going manual, when you go to automatic, and you notice that sometimes when it's on auto, it's not making the right decisions, you'll be annoyed and you'll go back to manual because you just have such a higher understanding of light now and how to work it. Anyways, if you're still here, thank you. 2 more questions. Number 9, why is composition important? why not? Composition is super important because that's what makes your image. The ability that you have to choose what kind of frame you have and what to put within that frame, I think is what makes really great photographers. It makes the difference between not so great photographers and amazing photographers, is how do you utilize the frame that you have to its advantage. So composition is very important. I'm a person that likes a lot of outdoor shooting, so I try to find spaces where I can compose environmental portraits, as I like to. And environmental portraits are different. Environmental portraits is when you take a portrait of somebody in their natural environment, but I think I take environmental images, meaning that I like to include the space that the model is in. I don't necessarily I take portraits, but my portraits are not very tight to face. I like to see what they're around. So composing that is very important. I'm a person that is a fan of like lower angles or awkwardly higher angles. I don't necessarily like the straight on composition, but that's me personally. I like to elongate people if I use a wider lens, or I like to make them seem like we're looking from a drone down to those people. So I really try to play with my composition a lot, and it's constantly evolving, but I think composition is, and a pattern of composition is what creates a style. It's light in composition. That's the key to your images, to make them your own, to make them different, because composition is what you photograph through your eye. You know, we look at things straightforward all the time, so I want to challenge the way you look at those things and give you a different angle. And I am not the first person to do that, and I'm not the last person to do that. It's something people have been doing forever. So, but it's just challenging the eye of the viewer, and composition does that. So I think composition is extremely important, and I am going to make a video that is talking a lot about composition specifically, and different compositions and how they work and how they make a viewer feel. So that will be a video coming soon. Last but not least, would you ever release a book or a zine? Funnily enough, I released 3 zines, and I still have 2 of them up for sale. I actually re-upped them not too long ago. One is called Bear Blues, and the other one is called Never Ending Reach. The Bear Blues I shot in the Dead Sea in Israel, and Never Ending Reach was shot in Joshua Tree. And I'll link it down below, the website where you can purchase them. So yeah, I have been making zines, and I'm gonna keep on making zines. Hopefully one day I'll make a whole book. That's the goal. But I'm a big fan of zines. I'm a big fan of physical portfolios or physical projects. And actually my next step is now to work on prints. So I'm actually going to work on making prints out of the zines I've made so far, and the zines that I'll be making in the future, or projects I'll be shooting. So prints is my next step. But I've definitely made zines before. This is actually when I first released my first zine. The first 20 people to get it got these fire energy desert toned socks. Like the whole zine is these 2 tones. So I released that zine a while ago, but I re-upped on them because I still have so many left. I overprinted. So if you want purchase one, they'll be linked down below. If you want to check them out, let me know what you think. But yeah, I'm really sorry for this extremely long video. If you're still here, again, thank you. I hope you liked these answers, or you can relate to them or take something away from them. If you want me to maybe focus on one of these answers and do a separate video, let me know down below. If you want to see my dog Nala more, let me know, because you're so cute, mama. You're so cute. You're the cutest. Who's the cutest, mama? Who's the cute? Is it you? Is it? Thank you. Thank you. Anyways, yeah, thank you so much, and peace.